a heart that thirsts for your generous love and deeper relationship, a heart that truly wants to sing your mystery in prayer and action, a heart that wants to reflect your generous spirit to all, a heart that wants to see your face in all those I meet, a heart that must believe that you show me the way to the narrow road I believe in, the road I know I must stay on with you and my community day after day after day, no matter what. Amen. Isn't that a beautiful prayer? After my retreat in Coleman, Sister Priscilla Coleman wrote that prayer and gave it to me. Some of you may know Sister Priscilla. Anyway, I thought I just love that, so occasionally I will use it. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We're more than halfway through your retreat, so I hope you're getting some rest and taking it easy and breathing deeply and not thinking too much. But and we began our retreat, and I know reflecting on God's desire for harmony in our world, and how might we help contribute to that? How might we as Benedictines, Benedictine community, Benedictine oblates, how might we all contribute to that? And as we take time and retreat to be in silence and to find, get refreshed in the meaning of silence and how good it is for us, we recognize once again, how we really live to prefer nothing whatever to the love of Christ for us. That is our motivation that keeps us going in the day-to-day. Doesn't it just knowing that generous love that Christ has for each of us, no matter what. And then, of course, we also reflected a little bit about the importance of staying at table. In other words, our stability, our faithfulness to our commitment to monastic profession, and helps us to remember again how important it is to stay focused on that love of Christ for us. So when we live our lives, as we know, with a greater mindfulness of God's presence at all times and in all things, as St. Benedict reminds us over and over again, that we are always in that presence of God. Always, always, always. So today then, we are going to kind of jump into a different one than what I have listed there. I think that we need to be able to do all of these things that we've just talked about and listened to by staying really clarified in who we are as Benedictine women and who we are as Benedictine oblates. What really, got to be very clear about that. And this morning I'm going to share with you some simple thoughts on clarity. The title actually of this one is To Be a Benedictine, Clarifying the Vision. Clarifying the Vision. Have you ever heard of St. Claris? St. Claris? I'd never heard of St. Claris either, till I read a book by Ed Hayes. He was talking about St. Claris. And he is a French monk way back in the 7th century who was the patron saint of those who suffered from myopia. Am I saying that right? Myopia? I'm not sure how to say that, but that was what he was, a patron saint for those who suffered from myopia, those who are short-sighted, in other words. St. Claris was the patron saint of those people. And by the way, literally, it means clear, isn't obviously clarity. Claris means clarity. And obviously it is very connected to clear and clarity. It's all about the clarity of things. So I think that, I really believe that short-sightedness, myopia, even a spiritual short-sightedness can really afflict us at many levels, that short-sightedness. And it seems to be a disease that really has invaded our world at this particular time, doesn't it? What is going on here? The myopia has gotten, the world has gotten so narrow in its vision. And particular time in our history where so much violence and so much self-centeredness, it's all about me. We see the vivid horrors of terrorism and war and all kinds of things, which is so distressing. And perhaps because vision has been too limited or too self-centered, too self-protective. In other words, just plain too short-sighted in our world today. And I think that retreat is about deepening and clarifying our own vision, our own personal vision. The silence helps us to do that, helps us to think, to go deeper. The practice of monastic silence during retreat, I think, enables us to, again, practice that mindfulness that we talked about, and a respect for that presence of God, who is so present wherever we are at all times. And this awareness of the presence of God, born in silence, I think assists us in being much more clearly centered in who we are called to be as professed monastic women. Get a little more centered during this retreat time, and for our lights as well, a little more clarity about what does it mean to be a Benedictine. In our silence, we are very attentive to that voice of God, the Vox Domini, the voice of the Lord. And in the silence, we not only listen for and hear the voice of the Lord, we in turn find, I think, our own voice. We find then our own voice, the voice of the monastic prophet, in a way. And I use the word prophet in the sense of, well, the first monastics were called heirs of the biblical prophets. The life of the first fathers and mothers in the desert were called bios propheticos. In Greek, it meant the prophets. Monastic life is not naturally prophetic, for sure, but we are a community, and as we know, of very fragile, vulnerable people. We're all sinners in one way or another. And yet, we have a vocation to be prophetic. In other words, to be the witness of Christ to our world. When I say prophetic, I mean witness. And it's a call, and it's a call regardless of our age or our health or whatever. It's our call. Look at Abraham. He was 75 years old when he was called. It is, I think, our response, a choice we must make as persons and as communities to be that prophetic voice, to be that vision to our world, to be able to be that for them. And I think profession, it's interesting that the word profession and the word prophecy, the two words of profession and prophecy, come from the same root word. I think our monastic profession is a public promise that if authentically lived, it is a prophecy. It truly is a witness, It truly is a witness to our times. I really believe that. And like the question that was put to John the Baptist, it is our response to that question too. When they asked him, who are you? Who are you? What do you have to say about yourself? Who are you? God bless you. Who are you? In other words, it's our profession that really defines us. It really defines us. Who are you as a Benedictine? And I believe to be a Benedictine is truly to be a blessing, a real blessing. We know that's the meaning of the word Benedictine. It's to be a blessing to our world and to each other as well. We We ought to be that to each other. Who we are as a Benedictines is so important, and I think that we are known more by our identity than any particular charism. I think we aren't associated with any particular work. Just to work is who we are. But we're not identified like the School Sisters in Notre Dame. We know they are teachers, or we know the Mercy Sisters are for the most part connected with healthcare. But Benedictines, we do whatever is needed in our area. We are known more by our identity and who we are and how we live our lives. St. Bernard of Clairvaux wrote, "The way you live is an excellent way to prophesy." The way you live is an excellent way to prophesy. Our life and not our words, my friends, our life and not our words make us capable of prophecy. Our life and not our words make us credible. Prophecy is linked to a way of living, to a way of witnessing, to a way of working. Words move, but example convinces. That was the words of Mother Evangeline Cremingers, who was prioress at Atchison. And I always like that phrase that she used. Words move, but example convinces. I can say a lot of nice little happy, holy things, but if I don't live it, forget it. I have to walk my talk. I have to live authentically what I say, who I say I am. And I think we have affirmed our willingness to be gospel people, through our monastic profession. And as Christians, we're called really to take a stand for that reign of God and not this world. And prophecy demands absolute clarity about identity. Who we are, what we stand for, and with whom we stand. Only then can we really critique our culture honestly without bias. We must be passionate enough about our own convictions to mirror to our culture an alternative way of living. And that's what they should see when they come here to visit the sisters here at St. Paul, or Ferdinand, or Atchison, all of us. They ought to be able to come here and see how God meant the world to live in harmony. We strive together, I think, to live in peace, and we're willing to struggle to make that happen. We hang in there, don't we? We hang in there and we work through it. We find real joy in that wholesome love and affection of our relationships with each other. True harmony, I think, God's dreams of humankind is right here. When we really work at that and make it happen, so that when people come into our place, they say, "Oh, it's so peaceful here." Anyway, let's hope that that's the case for all of us. By contrast, I think the short-sightedness comes with, seeking the individual's rights and the world's sense of personal entitlement. What I'm entitled to. I'm entitled to this, and I'm entitled to that. And it keeps us from making choices for the common good rather than me. I just want what's best for me. It's all about me. I don't think that's what Benedict wanted us to do. So the question, I think, to ask ourselves is, does our life together hold up the possibilities for an alternative way of living the gospel here and now? Are our ways of doing things different than the world's ways? Are they different than the world's ways? Do we have the generosity of spirit? Do we have the tenacity, the integrity, and the resolve to change what needs to be changed in ourselves first, and in how we live together in community, so that we can truly be the witness to the reign of God on this earth? What is our gift to the church? Because we're here, because we're Benedictines. What are we offering the world because we've gathered here for retreat this week? Is anything going to be different in each of us because we've shared together this week? Is anything going to be different? What's going to change in me? What's going to change in me? And I mean me too. I mean, I'm the talker here. I got to walk my own talk, right? You better believe it. I'm challenged on that all the time. And I think, obviously we learn from Jesus, don't we? The way God is. And Jesus sets about building that reign of God on this earth. And I think we as Benedictines, if our lives are well lived, can be that beacon of that reign in our world that is beset with so much violence and so much division now. We can be that opposite. We can show them. We don't shoot each other when we get upset. Hopefully. Don't expect that. But, we could not be needed, I think, more than we are right now in this 21st century. I really do believe we are a needed group right now. Our communities, I think, are the antenna, kind of an antenna of community living, the visible and concrete sign of a commitment to a relational life. This is, I think, convincing hope that our life of prayer and community is truly needed and very relevant, and worthy of our best efforts. Worthy of our best efforts, no matter what. I think by living together in community, we as Cenobites, which we are, through our common life, have the possibility and the potential of being able to stand together as a Christian community, pointing out the dimensions and systems, be that in our church sometimes, our country, and our world, which excludes and oppresses the vulnerable and the voiceless. I think as Benedictine women, committed to a God of love and community, we articulate and live that vision of inclusivity and harmony. We become experts in the art of hospitality. You've been really wonderful to me. Great hospitality. I give you an A+ in hospitality for sure. And I think, and we also are reaching out to the stranger, the excluded. I think we overcome diversity and divisiveness by healing the human disparity through our own ministry of presence and our own ministry of reconciliation. I really do believe in that. So as we move through, I want to just say one more thing here, that the work of the Cenobite, I think, in living the common life, I think is very fruitful and fertile in and of itself. Just living our life here, living it well, is fruitful and fertile of itself. It gives witness and imaging community of inclusiveness and faithfulness here. We're giving that all the time. A sure witness to a very fragmented and divided world right now. Kind of a rehearsal for the reign of God coming toward us, for sure. So as we move now through these last days of retreat, hoping for peace, let us be peace for one another, giving the world a witness to an alternative way of living, which Benedict wants us to do, always with a view of the reign of God. Taking time for retreat kind of slows us down and makes sure that we do not allow short-sightedness to narrow our vision so that we become bogged down with things that really don't matter in the big picture. I think retreat is a time for reaching inside of ourselves. It's a time for reaching inside of ourselves to our souls, to what is really important and what really makes a difference in our lives. Retreat really is kind of a moment for new beginnings. New beginnings. So let us renew our prophetic, our monastic commitment, our prophetic, with enthusiasm and authentic monastic life that provides the world that alternative vision and to war and peace, to violence, barriers, boundaries, prejudices, You know, that attitude of winners and losers and consumerism. We have a lot to show the difference of a lot. If we can do this, I am really confident that from within our monasteries, we will together have one very loud voice proclaiming peace. Peace to our world. And don't we have that word peace always around our houses, sometimes at the entrance door of the monastery? That's what we want to bring to our world, our poor, battered world. I would like to just say, may Christ strengthen us for that soul-searching and prophetic task, and may St. Benedict and St. Scholastica and St. Claris intercede for all of us, huh? Let us make this retreat worth our time. Let's have it make us different, something different, huh? Something different. And the question I leave you with this morning is, do my daily choices, there's my word daily again, do my daily choices clearly reflect my identity as a Benedictine woman and oblate, dedicated to Christ and to bringing about the reign of God on this earth? I'll read it to you one more time. Do my daily choices clearly reflect my identity as a Benedictine woman, as an oblate, dedicated to Christ and to bringing about the reign of God on this earth? Well, I did it a little shorter this morning. God bless you. Have a great day. The schedule is so nice. You've got a nice long afternoon till 4 o'clock when you have to listen to me one more time. God bless you all. Thank you for listening.